When you're planting a garden, it can be as simple as picking a spot in your yard that gets a decent amount of sun and sticking some seeds in the ground. Or it can be as complex as making a 3D rendering of your entire backyard to scale and redesigning it over and over and over and over again until you're finally maybe happy with it. Anyway, I designed a 2-scale 3D rendering of my backyard in order to plan my garden. Let me show you. The tool I use to do this is called SketchUp. I use their web-based free tool, and the capabilities of this software are pretty amazing for being free. This is the model of the area where I had my first garden last year. So we started with just plots in the ground with this fence around it. And then we added this arbor as well to grow melons on. What I've done for this coming year is added these raised garden beds, or I could call them garden frames. They're 6-inch tall cedar fence planks that I've built into beds. So this will just give me the opportunity to build up a little bit more soil, amend it a little better since we do have hard clay soil, and just keep things contained. Keep the weeds outside of the bed, keep the soil inside. So I'm very excited for these. These have all actually already been made and are sitting outside covered by 2 feet of snow. So I like to look at it as it will be in the spring. I also have these really shallow, again, 6-inch planter boxes under the windows that I plan to put my herbs in. So what I'll be working with in this area this year are 2 2-by-8-foot beds here on the sides, 2 4-by-6 beds, and a 4-by-4 in the middle. Then in the corners we have 2-by-2s. The garden beds are roughly 1.5 by about 3. And the arbor, actually don't even have to guess, I can show you. They're about almost 7 feet. I'll make another video about what I plan to plant in this garden, but first I need to show you the rest of the yard. The other addition this year is going to be a greenhouse. We actually found a pre-manufactured greenhouse that we just need to assemble, new in the box, from somebody on Facebook Marketplace that bought it with the intent to put it together and they just never got around to it. It's a little over 8 foot by 6 foot, and it's got window panes in the top as well. I plan to probably install some fans for a little bit of airflow. And then we're going to build these custom shelves inside, and that's where I'll be able to put my epic seed starting kits, which I'm very excited for. I've got 4 of the black seed starting kits and 4 of the pink. And as you can see, they should fit perfectly on these shelves. I'll also have some extra storage on the middle shelf and underneath for things like pots and soil, my garden tools, my harvest basket. It'll be great to get those things out of the main garage area and into a dedicated space that's all my own. These are honestly the most adorable seed trays I've ever seen. They come with 4 4-cell trays and 6 6-cell trays. The tray is also really nice because you can water straight into it and let the water leach up into the soil of the plants. Or if you prefer to water traditionally, it at least stops the water from draining out and dripping all over whatever surface you have your seed trays on. I'm super excited for these because they're going to be on that top shelf that I showed you, and I don't want water draining out onto everything that I'm storing underneath. I would show you my own trays, but I would have to go into the shed to get them, and I am not walking through 2 feet of snow right now. There's a link in the description below and in my bio where you can get 5% off your order on Epic, and it helps me out too. I also have gotten a water barrel off of Facebook Marketplace, a few of them really, but I plan to use one by the greenhouse. Now I don't know if this will actually supply water to the greenhouse or if it will just be a spigot that'll make it a little easier when I need to fill my watering can. But either way, I'm excited to be able to collect the rainwater off of the roof of the greenhouse. And now, I called that first garden area the main garden, but as you can see, I have much bigger plans. So this is the far back corner of my yard. If I zoom out here, you can see this is my home. The main garden's on the south facing wall. And then out in the back reaches of the yard will be this pretty large expansion. Because this will not be a fenced area, it will be exposed to the wildlife. I've raised these boxes up, so there's still 6-inch cedar fence pickets, but I'm going to layer them to bring the beds up to 2 feet high. Now I'll probably still have some problems with animals that can jump or climb up into these, but hopefully it deters them a little bit. And if needed, I'll take other preventative measures. And by that I mean like a cover or something. I'm not going to end any animals overeating my plants. So the sizes I've got going on here, these are going to be 4 by 8 foot beds that are connected by cattle panel trellises. So these are where I'm going to grow things like indeterminate tomatoes, squash, cucumbers, and then on the extra bulk of the beds, I'll be able to grow things like my brassicas. I'm going to try watermelons out of the corners in the back. So there's going to be a lot of space in these beds, a lot of support, and hopefully it's going to look beautiful too. I got these shipping crates. We found them on the side of the road. Someone was just throwing them away. They're a little odd shaped, about 1.5 feet by 4, and fairly deep. So what I have in one right now is garlic, and I plan to plant things like my shallots and onions and garlic in them moving forward. So not a ton of space, but I don't need a ton of onions either. And then these 2 containers, I'm not sure if these will be actual pots yet or if I'm going to makeshift something out of hardware cloth. This is where I plan to plant things like potatoes and sweet potatoes. These little patches here are just soil on the ground, and I plan to maybe plant some herbs, some condensed flowers, something of that nature there just to brighten things up and fill in the space. In the middle is what will hopefully be one of the 250-gallon, I believe they're called IBC totes. I'd love to find a food grade IBC tote that I can use for rainwater collection here as well. The dream was to then have a gravity-fed irrigation system going into all of these beds. However, I don't know, with the beds being 2 foot high and me not really wanting to raise this up more than 2 feet in the air, I don't know if there will be enough pressure to really send water down the system. But I'm going to try, and worst case, this will be, again, a spigot that I can use to fill my watering can instead of lugging the hose all the way out into the back of the yard. And finally, we've got some more 4 by 6 beds here, and I plan to take either cattle panel or hardware cloth, some kind of support to make bean trellises as well. So I'll be planting my beans on either side of this trellis, and then around them will be things like root vegetables, salad greens, fairly simple things to grow. And then this very long strip of dirt here is just my dream to plant a ton of flowers. I bought a lot of different types of flowers this year for the pollinators, to attract beneficial insects, and just to bring color into the garden. And I'd love to plant a little of each type along this strip as well. And then over by the smaller shed in our yard, we have our dual compost system that we built last year. Now, we don't compost enough for this to get hot. It's probably going to take a very long time for this material to break down and be usable. But it feels really good to have a place where food scraps can get put instead of going in the garbage and the landfill. Behind that, we have our 4 berry bushes that we planted last year, actually in a different part of the yard, and then transplanted. And there's 2 blueberries. One is certainly dead, but then we have a raspberry and a blackberry. So I'll replace that sad little blueberry this year, and hopefully the other berries will bounce back from the winter. Lastly, I have strawberries. So my strawberries were planted just in the ground in a different part of the garden last year and surrounded by a chicken wire fence of sorts, but animals were certainly climbing over the fence and eating the strawberries. So I built a covered box. It looks just like what you're seeing here. So these pieces at the top lift up. There are 2 lids, and then the strawberries are planted inside. So I have one currently in the yard filled with strawberries. However, it's not in the right spot. So come the end of winter, I'm going to have to try to transplant those strawberries over to one of these spots, and then I'll build a second bed because there are a ton of runners and the bed is already overcrowded. And that's what I have going on this coming year. I would love to hear what you're planning. Are you starting your first garden this year? Are you expanding? Do you already have your ideal garden? I would love to see what you have planned or what you have in place and your thoughts on what I plan. So please comment below. I'd love to hear from you. So I'm going to make a video showing you how I make those beds and covering what I did with the others. And if you'd like to see what I'm planting this year, I do have a plan through Epic Gardening's Garden Planter that I am going to show you as well. So please look forward to that too. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing.